featuring the super fast bike insurer GP1s and the ultra competitive van insurer Sportsman Elite 600. Round 2 of the season brings us to Donington Park. Welcome to Thundersport Elite.
Well, it's a very cold afternoon here at Donington Park, and obviously in this show we bring you action from the bike insurer Thundersport GP1, but also the van insurer Sportsman Elite 600s, a class that features Formula 600s tuned bikes and the super stock 600s for stock machines. And here is a beautiful specimen, the JDF colours, the black and orange, Thundersport colours also, of Callan Cooper, 16-year-old champion of the 450s last year. In fact, he was a 3 times Thundersport champion. He's on pole position for the Sportsman Elite. Keep an eye out for him. We've got a full grid of 40 bikes. It's sure to be great. Let's get down on the grid and get ready for race 1. So the van insurer 600 Sportsman Elite, you can see all the snow packed up on the side of pit wall. Really cold here at Donington National Circuit, ready for round 2 of 2013. There he is, number 1, Callan Cooper, 3 times champion of last year. We just saw his bike beautifully presented this year, and Callan, what a great young rider he is. You'll be seeing him in most of the Thundersport rounds and a few BSB rounds. Keep an eye out for him because he's a great prospect. Number 66 there. Slightly more experience for Daniel Freer, the 27-year-old who's been in BSB Superstock before. He was a front runner back in 09, a very capable rider. 193 there, you'll see, is Dale Thomas from Caerphilly in Wales. And there is another young, great talent, number 94, Lee Williams from Liverpool. We are just about ready to go, and as I mentioned before, a full grid. We'll get down on the grid for race 2, and I'll just give you some idea as to how busy that grid is. It looks as though we're ready to go. The green flag is lifted at the back, and away we go, and it's a good start from pole sitter Callan Cooper, but an even better start from the Formula 600 rider, number 94, the former Supermoto rider of Lee Williams. But maybe it was Dan Freer that just slipped in to first place into turn 1. Of course, as I mentioned, this class for Formula 600s and Super Stock 600s, they score points separately and they score points all together as well. Oh, and we've got a faller already down into Craner Curves. It's cold there. All these riders have had 2 warm-up laps, I should just point out. But is that Ben Neary? Yeah, I think it is. Number 93, Ben Neary, who's gone down. But he looks as though he's got up and he's okay. As one of the riders just running wide there. That looked like Chris Helliwell just running wide. It was into McLean's as they head up towards Coppice Corner. Callan Cooper, a busy period for him with a couple of BSB rounds scattered around, but they're all trying to chase this man here, number 94, Lee Williams at the moment. Lee, 21 years of age on the Team Willow Racing Honda. Stacks of sponsors for him this season. A well-established supermoto rider, and Helliwell's down. Chris Helliwell has gone down. We've called him Jorge Helliwell this week because he's got 1 white boot and 1 black boot. I say he's gone down. It looks as though he was just stuck in the gravel a bit there. We'll have to find out what's happened, but it's Williams that leads. Daniel Freer on another Formula 600 bike in 2nd, and Callan Cooper 3rd. Dale Thomas in 4th. Further back this battle for 7th, 8th and 9th. That is number 191 there. That's Dylan Roberts. He's just behind the Superstock 600 championship leader after Brands, Sam Thompson, number 50 from Bournemouth. There is Ryan Dixon, who's having a very good play outside there into Coppice Corner, as they head into Coppice Corner, should I say. He's 23 years old, the cousin of Jake Dixon. He's on a Superstock machine, just getting to grips with this Donington Park circuit. In the background there, well, it's Williams that leads, Freer in 2nd, but Callan Cooper sniffing around him. Cooper's leading the Superstock chase, despite being 3rd overall, but he is trying to catch Dan Freer there. Lee Williams it is that still has the outright lead. In the background, a number of riders keeping chase. There's Sam Cox, number 54. Number 97 is Richie Connell. He's just up behind James Shaw. James Shaw number 4 on the Kawasaki. Well, he even labelled himself as a crasher last year, but he has come up from the pre-national Thundersport Championships, the 600s, and he's doing a great job for a rookie, effectively. There he is, number 4, just ahead of Richie Connell, number 97. Richie, number 97, sorry, 22 years of age on the Challenge Motor Company Yamaha. Back out front, it's Freer ahead of Cooper for 2nd and 3rd. Still Williams that leads overall. The orange and black bike there is Dale Thomas, who just goes up underneath Sam Cox. Number 54, that we've got waved yellows there into Coppice corner. So we've obviously lost a rider into Coppice. And we'll try and keep an eye out for who that is, but there's no change at the front. It's still Williams from Freer and Cooper, but that gap has come down considerably. Williams had about a 1.5 second advantage. That has all gone. Freer has a look over his shoulder. Callan Cooper on the JDF Superstock 600 machine is still there, the 3 times Thundersport champion of last year. Freer decides not to make a move into Redgate corner as he chases down Lee Williams. Williams with that strange riding style, as I mentioned before, stacks of Supermoto experience, but last year he was a complete rookie at road racing level. Into the old hairpin, Freer thought about a move, but, well, thinks better of it. Under Starkey's Bridge and around Schwantz Curve they come. Your 2 Formula 600 leaders just ahead of Callan Cooper, and Freer makes his move up into McLean's there. As easy as that, Freer takes the lead of the Van Insura 600 Sportsman Elite. Further back, that is Dale Thomas, 193, ahead of Sam Cox, and James Shaw is now just tucked up behind Sam. Down the back straight we come. It's Freer now then that leads into the final chicane, that leads onto the start-finish straight. I've heard this chicane being referred to as Fennell's this weekend in memory of Robert Fennell. So we'll have to find out if that is the actual permanent new name. So down into Redgate, Freer leads, Williams 2nd. There is Callan Cooper, number 1. Rider who comes all the way from the Isle of Man, 16 years of age, the reigning Thundersport champion in 3 classes. Most notably, oh, and Freer's down into Craner Curves. The leader goes down. He's lucky. Well, I said he's lucky because the bike wasn't going to cartwheel, but he's not happy with that. He gets up and walks away. But that is the front end, the usual place to lose it through Craners. Good to see he's up and away, but the leader goes down. That leaves Williams and Callan Cooper out front. I was just talking about Callan Cooper's being the reigning champion in 3 classes. He's been getting some help. I know that his family are good friends with Neil Hodgson, of course, former British and World Superbike champion, and I think he's been giving him some advice throughout the last few years. Well, he's looking strong in this race. There's a good field out there. Those are the 2 leaders going through. This is the battle for 3rd then. Cox up the inside of Dale Thomas. Number 193 there, Dale Thomas from Kia Philly, a Superstock rider, ahead of number 54, Sam Cox, the 21-year-old. On the Apprentice Racing Yamaha. Down into Redgate we come, and there is Cox, 54, ahead of Thomas and James Shaw. Sam Cox, of course, a former Super Teen runner. He did very well in the 450s last year. He also finished well in the Thundersport 500s a couple of years back as well, so he's been at Thundersport since day 1. Further back, that is Paul Charman, number 9, just going up underneath number 32. That's Nick Clift. Nick, of course, on the JDR Performance Suzuki, the 19-year-old from St Albans. Paul Charman, 33-year-old, experienced rider, just at the front here, just coming up to put a lap on Jeff Booth. That is Lee Williams that leads ahead of Callan Cooper. Now, I should just point out, at this moment in time, they are both leading their separate classes here at Donington. Lee Williams, the outright leader, is leading the Formula 600. Callan Cooper, the Superstock 600. So they could just sit where they are and win either of their classes. But there are overall points for the Sportsman Elite. And last season's champion, Danny Murphy, won on a Superstock bike, and I think Callan Cooper wants to do the same. He doesn't look like he's going to settle for 2nd place overall. The orange and black machine with the number 1 plate. There is Lee Williams, 94. Very upright position as he tips in, but he's going to lose out there. He's caught napping. He looks over his shoulder, and Callan Cooper takes advantage. And as they go down into Craner Curve, it is Callan Cooper that leads, the 16-year-old. Hard to believe that he's just 16 years old. It seems like he's been racing for a decade already. But great experience. He is, without question, a star of the future. Remember the name, because he's going all the way. Lee Williams just behind him. Well, Lee's only 21 himself, but he's not got as much experience as the 16-year-old in front of him. Cox still in third, ahead of James Shaw, who's having a superb race. Ahead of Dale Thomas from Kia Philly. Still Cooper that leads as they come up on some more traffic. A bit of a wobble from the front end there. He's really pushing it into Fennells as they go back onto the start-finish straight and see the last lap flag. Further back, I can tell you that Richie Connell is still in sixth ahead of Ryan Dixon, Peter Dilks, Dan Stanton. Joe Barton's having a good race ahead of Adam Clark and Stuart Haslam also. But as we head out onto this final lap now, Lee Williams is trying to chase down Callan Cooper, as we see there James Shaw, who's looking set for a decent top 5 finish. Dan Stanton there, number 8, just going through. And the Stano Racing Yamaha, he's set for a decent result here, but it's all about these two. And Lee Williams is closing in on this final lap. He does have the quicker bike marginally by the factor that he is allowed to tune it. He's a Formula 600 machine. They go onto the back straight, and it's all going to be down to the slipstream. That's still the battle for second, third, and fourth. Still belongs to Cox ahead of Thomas. Thomas ahead of Cox now. And then in 5th place, James Shaw. But as they go into the final chicane, it's going to be Callan Cooper, surely on the JDF. Kawasaki that's going to win it. Checkered flag out. Callan Cooper wins on Superstock machinery. And where's Lee Williams? Where is Lee Williams gone? Well, has he had a moment there just on the into the final chicane, or on the exit of the final chicane? Lee Williams has gone AWOL. I can tell you he has crossed the line, so maybe he's just gone straight on. Lee Williams finishes in second but wins the Formula class. Sam Cox third, Dale Thomas fourth ahead of James Shaw, and Richie Connell in sixth. So Callan Cooper then the winner of the Superstocks ahead of Cox and Thomas, and in the Formulas, Williams just about has it from Stuart Haslam and Paul Charman.
Winner of the Formula 600s, Lee Williams. That was a seriously close race between you and Cal Cooper. Can you tell us about the race?
Yeah, I just we'd start on fourth on the inside. I got a good start and I just tried to break away, but obviously Callum and Dan, who were behind me, closed me up, and then Dan crashed, but Callum were pushing me all the way, and then I just had a few little bobbles on the last lap, so it was just safe to sit there because I was still first in class, so I'm happy.
Well done. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, just everyone you can see on my bib. MW Racing, Pipeworks, Majestic Engineering, PRF for helping me this weekend, and a big thanks to Steve Reaney for buying me some tyres for this weekend, so much appreciated, thank you.
Well done, thank you. And winner overall and in class, Callan Cooper. Again, that was a very close race. At what point did you think you were going to win it?
I didn't think I was going to win it the whole way through the race because it was Dan and racing together, and I was just kind of a bit hanging on, and I was struggling behind a bit because I'm on the Superstock, and they were just getting the grip coming out of the corners. But once Dan crashed, and then he had a few mistakes into the first corner, so I thought, right, just try and hang on to him, and ended up passing. He ran wide and ended up going inside, and well, I thought I could win it from there on.
Excellent. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, Mum, Dad, John, Dean Terrison, Paul Deadman, Thundersport Law, and everyone else has helped out. It's been great, thanks. Well
done, thank you.
Well, that's it from the 600s. Another race coming up for them later. But next up, after the break, it's the Bike Insurer Thundersport GP1. Welcome back to Thundersport Elite. It's the Bike Insurer Thundersport GP1 class up next. Effectively, power bikes, the big bikes. And on pole position, number 20. Nice to have Jenny Tinmouth back on the grid here at Thundersport GB. She lines up on pole, courtesy of a mega lap system, which saw her taking the fastest lap from yesterday's racing. Second on the grid should be the Ram, John Ingram. Third place there for 2010 champion Phil Crow. And there is Kyle Wilkes, number 32. It's a class for power bikes, it's a class for Superstock thousands, all at each other's throats. Reigning champion Peter Baker is a little further back on row 2. the 54-year-old on the Morello Services Kawasaki, so keep an eye out for him. But John Ingram has been gold dust all weekend so far, number 56. It's been difficult to catch him. Can Jenny Tinmouth do anything about it? Can Phil Crowe, the 2010 champion, keep on? Well, Crowe got a terrible start there, away from the line, and as we tip down into turn one, it is going to be Jenny Tinmouth that leads from John Ingram. Kyle Wilkes slots into third place. Adrian Clark is up there into fourth or fifth place, and then it looked as though we saw the championship leader going through John Waghorn as well. Yes, it was Waghorn. There's number 17, Stuart Hall from Wakefield, a championship title rival from a couple of seasons back. Nice to have him out on the grid. As we tip just into McLean's there, there's Kyle Wilkes, and just going up underneath Adrian Clark, that looked like Danny Murphy. Danny Murphy, number 1, 2, 3, the reigning Sportsman Elite champion, and we've got a faller already. On the exit of McLean's, we have someone down. I'm wondering if that's number 37, Ryan Kringle. I didn't get too much of a glimpse of his bike, but it looks like his leathers. Back at the front, it's Tinmouth leading from John Ingram. And as they come down the start-finish straight, John Ingram there pulls out of the slipstream of Jenny Tinmouth, and he moves up the inside into Redgate and does take the lead. So the Ram, John Ingram from Wigan, the 37-year-old on the Pallet Racing Suzuki, takes the lead. A top 10 regular at British super stock level over the last few years. He's focusing wholeheartedly this season on the Isle of Man TT, though. He finished 35th out of 70 in the newcomers, in the TT last year. He's looking to finish in the top 10 this year. Jenny Tinmouth herself is a BSB runner and has been around the Isle of Man TT, the fastest lady around the TT, in fact. She is no slouch at all, and she's putting in some decent lap times here just to try and close that gap down to John Ingram. Further behind, well, look at the scalps they're claiming. We've got Danny Murphy, the reigning Sportsman Elite 600 champion, Phil Crowe, the 2010 GP1 champion, Peter Baker, the reigning GP1 champion. So a number of decent riders further behind, but John Ingram is just stretching out this advantage. In fact, that lap time there, that's a 109.8 on the national circuit. That's only 2 or 3 tenths off the overall lap record at Thundersport GB, held by TT winner, funnily enough, Gary Johnson. And these temperatures are really cold. Look at the snow banked up on the left and right. The track temperature around about 5 or 6, so that's really good effort. There's Darryl Dance, number 47, just tipping in up ahead of number 29. 29 being Kingsley Ruddy, and that's Stuart Hall just behind them. And we've got another faller here. Riders up and okay, but they're just getting to the bike, and that looks like number 4, Craig Neve. Craig has gone down, so it's a shame for him. Back at the front, Ingram backing it in to the Fennell chicane that leads onto the start-finish straight and on to complete another lap. Jenny Tinmouth in the background. Well, her lap times are only 2 or 3 tenths slower than John's, but John's just not making any mistakes at the front here. Really good effort from the Ram. There's Kyle Wilkes, Adrian Clark, number 3, Peter Baker, number 1 there. Peter Baker, the reigning champion, just trying to get to grips with Kawasaki at the moment. He's not finding life quite as smooth on the Kawasaki as he did on a Suzuki when he won the championship last year. But what a career Peter Baker has had. There's 71, Phil Crowe, 2010 champion. But going back to Baker, and we'll see him in a moment, he's 3rd in that group, just behind number 32, Wilkes and Adrian Clark. He started his first full racing season in 1997. And in the 16 seasons that he's been racing, he's won 15 championships. An incredible performance from the 54-year-old who started racing quite late on. He's an inspiration to a lot of these riders out there, but he's not done yet. Once he gets to grips with that quacker, just you wait and see. Kyle Wilkes is leading a strong battle here for 3rd place, up ahead of Adrian Clark, Peter Baker. Dean Hipwell, a British Supersport competitor, is in amongst that lot as well on a Triumph 675. There is Jenny Tinmouth, though. Jenny, who actually won a Thundersport race back in the 2008 season, I believe, when Gary May was blitzing the 600 championship. Nobody could beat him, and then we went to Brands Hatch, and lo and behold, Jenny put in a fantastic performance and held the lap record for a little while as well. So it's she always pops back to see us from time to time, and it's great to have her. There's John Waghorn, who had a great Brands Hatch, a former MRO champion, and he's coming in at the moment. probably not had many laps around Donington Park in his time. Adrian Clark there, tipping it up the inside of the reigning champion, putting his arm up and saying sorry. Adrian Clark, the Scotsman there, well, fighting for his life, trying to get as many points as possible. There's Danny Murphy, 1, 2, 3, ahead of 71 Phil Crow. He's doing very well there, Danny Murphy, number 123, the 21-year-old on the MPR Racing Kawasaki. The next Aprilia Super Teen and 450 campaigner. And up ahead of them is number 32, Kyle Wilkes. Kyle, I know, has actually got some sponsors watching here this weekend at Donington Park. Dale Williams, the director of ESC Limited, is financed the tyres for the weekend, so he wanted to say a big thanks to him. But out front, there's no stopping the Ram. John Ingram is away with this one. Jenny Tinmouth is just managing that gap of around about 4 or 5 seconds. She's not really closing it in, but John's not pulling away any further. Then it's Danny Murphy, who's doing a super job. Number 1, 2, 3 there on the Kawasaki stock machine, ahead of Phil Crow on a tuned GP1B BMW. There's Carl Wilkes up ahead of Peter Baker, who's going around the outside. Then it's Clark, Hipwell, Waghorn. And, well, they're all getting in the mix. Chris Barnes has joined in the fun as well. Just to the back of that group is Chris Barnes, a super stock rider. Look at them, 3 abreast as they tip down into finals, and it's going to be the reigning champion, Peter Baker, that just cuts the nose off of the youngster Kyle Wilkes there, number 32, who's just turned 19. The last lap flag is out. Doesn't look to be any change in the lead or for second. Ingram looks comfortable. Tinmouth looks comfortable in first and second. It's just this fight for third that we've got to worry about. Baker, the reigning champion, currently has it from Wilkes. Then it's Clark, number 3. Hipwell, 74. Then it's Waghorn and Barnes. Can we see any developments as they come under Starkey's Bridge? Around Schwantz Curve and up towards McLean. Still Baker that has the advantage. Dean Hipwell looking a menace on that Triumph 675. There's John Waghorn, who's just lost a couple of tenths to the back of Hipwell. Waghorn still going to get himself a top 8 or 9 finish. Meanwhile, out front, well, a superb, flawless race from John Ingram, and it's a stand-up wheelie across the line. He takes 25 points and the win, and it's going to be Jenny Tinmouth that takes second place. So a good effort there from the Ram from Wigan. 37-year-old, experienced. He takes another Thundersport win to add to his collection. Tinmouth takes second. Murphy, a great third place and wins the Super Stocks overall, ahead of Phil Crow, Peter Baker and Kyle Wilkes in the end in 6th, just behind Baker. And there is Ingram, centre of your picture. And in the stocks, of course, it was Danny Murphy that won from Kyle Wilkes and John Waghorn.
Winner of the Superstock 1000 race, Danny Murphy. You're the current 600 champion and now a win for you in the 1000. Do you think you can keep it up?
Yeah, I'll do my best. It's a big, good turnaround from Brands Hatch, getting used to the 1000. I like Donington. Just struggling with a little bit of arm pump, so hopefully I can sort that for the next one.
And what about your competitors? Phil Crow wasn't far behind you in that race.
Yeah, no, my dad put his number on the board and I just wanted to try and keep the distance, but I think the back markers helped me out a little bit, but I'll try and up the pace for the next one.
Excellent. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Hearst Property Management, Long Controls, Air Vane Compressors, Fleet Graphics, Dave Tully's, Dave Bostock at Mac Tools, Lisa, who got sorted out my leathers and helmet, and also the Bike Assurer for putting a great championship together, taking some great pictures. So yeah, thanks.
Second position in the Thundersport GP1s goes to Jenny Tinmouth. That was a really good race for you there, second position. What do you think you need to do to keep up with John though?
Just try and keep a few consistent laps, and yeah, if I can get on the back of John and keep in the toe, then hopefully I can keep with him. Yeah, but it's good fun.
Your pole position, is that giving you a good start, a good lead?
Yeah, it's good then. I'm managing to do some okay starts and got off in the lead on the first lap, so chuffed with that. Yeah, it's good to get a few starts, at the beginning of the year, and they're all right at the moment, so yeah, good.
Well done. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Manx Classic Glazing, Peter Holland, Silk Clean, and everyone's on Race with Jenny. I've got Race with Jenny website. Thanks to everyone who's supported me on that as well.
First position in the GP1s goes to John Ingram. You're facing tough tough competition there by the girls.
That's right, yeah. I mean, last night I didn't really sleep much, thinking about just one of them things where I'm just glad that Jenny actually beat Phil Crow and not me. That's the main thing. But our season this year is more or less the same as last. It's all about the TT. We've set a Facebook page up to try and pull little bits of help in here and there. As far as the race went, it was a good race. First lap, just managed to get in front of Jenny and then just put some consistent fast laps in. Got out in front and then just held my pace. Big thanks to Josh Cranfield. I mean, bad news this morning, he's had his motocross bike stolen, so we've all been on our back foot. Missed a few things, obvious things that we shouldn't have been doing, as in rear tyre warmer not plugged in and things like that, but we've all had it this morning. I'd also like to thank Dennis and Fred Pallett. They've stuck with me this year. They're helping me with my Thundersport efforts and the EMRA, and we've got 1 or 2 people on board for the TT, so just the last few things in place now, and I think we'll be ready for the island.
Excellent, thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Well, we've reached the halfway point of the show. Join us again after the break for the Van Insurer 600 Sportsman Elite.
Moped, sports bikes, you save watts. Any bike, it makes no odds. We will give you what you need. Best price always guaranteed. Come to us and get a quote. You'll be singing note for note. Walk away with cash to spend on anything you want, my friend. Bike Insurer, Bike Insurer, Bike Insurer.
Get the cheapest bike insurance, guaranteed, only from the Bike Insurer.
Well, welcome back from the break. We are ready for the second of the Sportsman Elite 600 races sponsored by the Van Insurer. Can this man do it again? Here's that wonderful bike once more. Callum Cooper, the 16-year-old on the JDF machine. I just want to quickly pan back as quickly as possible. Have a look down there. We have a full grid here at Donington Park. Lots to play for, and Daniel Freer wants some revenge after the tumble in race 1. Well, there was certainly plenty of need for the jacket down there on the grid. It's freezing. Track temperature still down at around 5 or 6, ready for the start of this 600 race. Callum Cooper, of course, who won the earlier race, up alongside there Dan Freer. You remember he tipped off down into Craner Curves. Then Dale Thomas is third on the grid, Lee Williams in fourth. And Lee, we can confirm, did just overshoot on that last corner into the chicane, but away we go, and Dan Freer has got off to a great start, number 66 on the yellow machine. Into turn 1 we go, ahead of Callum Cooper, and then it's Sam Cox who sits up Dale Thomas into Redgate, and they head into Hollywood, and it's Freer that leads from Callum Cooper, Sam Cox third, Dylan Thomas in fourth, Dale Thomas in fourth, sorry, James Shaw in fifth place, and we can see there Sam Thompson's got off to a decent start as well. Not so good for Lee Williams, who was leading race 1 for a while, but Dan Freer it is that leads. He's just taken, well, he doesn't look to have taken any knock in terms of confidence. Good start for Ryan Dixon also, number 69 has got himself well up there. So a number of the riders just fly through the picture. Pretty much any rider from 1 to 20 you could see there have got the chances of picking up podiums this year. Some real talent throughout the grid, and Callum Cooper now fighting through, the 16-year-old to take the lead early on here. He waited pretty much to that 3/4 distance to take the lead in race 1. Well, not so this time. He's going to try and do a disappearing act. Callum Cooper leads on the Superstock bike ahead of Dan Freer. Then second in the Superstocks and third overall is this man, number 193, Dale Thomas from Kia Philly. Then Sam Cox is just up behind them, number 54. Sam, a regular at Thundersport on the AF Switchgear Apprentice Racing Yamaha, just 21 years of age. Dan Freer coming under pressure now from Dale Thomas. There is Sam. They go under Starkey's Bridge and up towards Schwartz Curve. What a first couple of laps this is from Callum Cooper. He's obviously just watched that race with John Ingram in and thought, oh, I fancy doing that, a bit of that myself. As he clears away. Callan Cooper, who started life out as a super team 3 or 4 years ago. He then moved into the British 125 GP Championship, but he was, well, you can just see from his frame, he was too tall and too big for the 125 GPs. Moved back to Thundersport, jumped on a 450 Aprilia, and did him the world of good. And we've got a faller, that's Stephen Kaplan, number 99. Stephen has fallen. That's a shame for him. Stephen, one of our riders that races under the Royal Air Force banner on the Steve Lynham Motorcycles machine, has taken a tumble. He's up and he's away, so he's okay. There is Sam Cox, number 54, still up in the top 5, but it's Callan Cooper that leads overall and stretches his advantage over Daniel Freer, Dale Thomas and Sam Cox. And you just have to wonder whether or not Daniel Freer is just settling for points in this race, or whether he's got some confidence issues, or maybe it's bike issues, because he's not quite as sharp as he was in race 1, courtesy of that fall down into Craner Curves. And let me tell you, it is quick to be coming off down into there. Lee Williams in the background, just putting out of the slipstream of number 4, James Shaw on the Kawasaki, but doesn't manage to do anything. And Dale Thomas getting it all sideways down into Fennell chicane. And he's done well to stay on the bike. The orange and black machine there in the background, number 193. In fact, he's recovered very well indeed. It's still Freer there ahead of Thomas, and then it's James Shaw and Sam Cox side by side into Redgate. Lee Williams just tracking them at the back of that group. Beyond that, we've got Peter Dilks, Chris Helliwell, Sam Thompson, Ryan Dixon, all scuffling for top 10 places, but Dale Thomas up the inside of Dan Freer. Dan Freer wasn't ready for that one, I don't think, into the old hairpin, and here comes Lee Williams now. Meanwhile, out front, Cooper is away with it. He is well clear of the chasing pack. There is number 37, Neil Glasgow, 20-year-old, 2008 Irish Aprilia Super Team champion. There's Callan Cooper, the race leader. A decent lead he's got now over these 2 super stock machines of Sam Cox, who goes up ahead there of the Welshman, Dale Thomas, number 193. There is Callan Cooper that still leads, tipping into Redgate. A decent lead he's got. In fact, he was a whisker away from taking the Superstock 600 lap record there. A decent effort from Callan, really on the pace. And these guys behind him, well, it's interesting, actually, funnily enough, just as I say that, both Dale Thomas and Sam Cox go faster than him in 2nd and 3rd, but Callan got his business done at the start of the race and has built up this decent lead of around about 4 or 5 seconds. And despite the fact that this chasing group in 2nd are actually lapping faster with just a few laps remaining, they are going to struggle to reel in the 16-year-old from the Isle of Man. It's still Dale Thomas that leads that fight for 2nd ahead of Sam Cox, and here comes Callan Cooper into Fennell's, and then it is Dale Thomas, number 193, in 2nd now. Cox thought about a move up the inside, but no. Then just behind Cox, it is the Formula 600 battle between Daniel Freer, number 66, and number 94, Lee Williams. Cooper just coming up on some traffic down into Craner Curves. Neatly done. And now down into the old hairpin. It's always a sign of a good racer when you look at them and they don't actually look like they're putting much effort into it at all, and that is exactly what Callan Cooper is doing. He's put some time into the chasing pack. Sam Thompson is having a good battle and a good dice with Chris Helliwell for 7th and 8th at the moment, ahead of Ryan Dixon. And the battle for 2nd overall continues. Sam Cox just slipped behind Daniel Freer, and Lee Williams now trying to take advantage and does so. Goes up ahead of Cox. So Dale Thomas it is that has got himself up there. Last lap flag out for Callan Cooper now. He can literally cruise home to take the win here. He's got some more traffic up ahead of him in the form of Jeff Booth. And in the background there, that is Dale Thomas ahead of Daniel Freer, number 66, and Lee Williams. And we've got a faller there, and that's Sam Cox. Cox has gone down, number 54. He's up and he sticks his thumbs up. He's okay. And, well, he switches the ignition off. He helps to pick the bike up. Good lad, Sam. Nice to see that he's up and okay. Not a great place to fall. That's a shame for Sam. He was on for some good points. Callan Cooper, meanwhile, Well, I've got to say that Dale Thomas is actually reeling him in. Dale has put in a decent lap in the late 112s, but he's run out of laps. As we pan back to see that battle for 6th place, it's currently Peter Dilks ahead of Chris Helliwell and Sam Thompson. In fact, Thompson was just marginally ahead of Helliwell on that shot as they tip into Coppice. Down into the final chicane though, Callan Cooper. We saw the beautiful JDF machine at the start of the show, and it's a full house for Cooper from the Isle of Man. The 16-year-old does the double in the 600s. A great result for Dale Thomas in 2nd place, number 193. The Welshman getting 2nd in class. Dan Freer takes 3rd, number 66, and wins the Formula 600s ahead of Lee Williams. James Shaw finishes in 5th and takes his first Super Stock 600 podium, and then it's Peter Dilks in 6th place. Looking at the podium then, Super Stocks, it's Cooper from Thomas, and in 3rd, James Shaw. And in Formula 600s, Daniel Freer wins from Lee Williams and Stuart Haslam. So let's take a look at the Sportsman Elite points overall. Heading into Snetterton in Norfolk, Freer leads from Lee Williams, Callan Cooper, Dale Thomas and Sam Thompson not far behind though, and Shaw in 6th.
Winner of the Superstock 600s, yet again, Callan Cooper. You led right from the off. You didn't face any competition on the way?
I got a good start, and I thought I'd try something different and try and do my own race. And just looking at my lap time, and got my laps down, and saw pit boys getting a bigger gap. And I just kind of like eased off a bit then, caught a lot of back markers. So I had to make my way through them safely, but apart from that, everything went well.
Excellent. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, Mum, Dad, John, Dean Teversham and Paul Deadman and all the Thundersport lot. Thanks a lot.
Well done, thank you. And first position in the Formula 600s goes to Dan. That was a good race for you. You must be pleased because unfortunately you came off in the first race.
Yeah, we managed to get the bike repaired after the first race, so I was pleased to get 3rd. Like, had a bit of fluid blowing back in my visor. I think it was just what's left over from the crash before, so I was a bit dubious to push real hard, like, so I was just pleased to get a bit of confidence back for the next round.
Well done. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, Mass Tyres, Northwinds Components and Paul Borrell, so cheers to that.
Well done, thank you.
Still one more race to go here from Donington Park. Join us again after the break for the bike insurer Thundersport GP1. Welcome back from the break. It's time for the 2nd GP1 race here, sponsored by the bike insurer, and it's the Ram, John Ingram. He's had a fantastic day so far. In fact, he's had a great weekend. Nobody's got anywhere near him. Can Jenny Tinmouth get herself up there and challenging? A good first race for her. She's getting close on the lap times. And then, of course, we have the 2010 champion there, Phil Crow, also looking to get himself on the podium. And lastly, certainly not least here, Carl Wilkes. Carl's doing so well this season here on the Bournemouth Kawasaki. He'll be looking for a podium as well. Let's get back up in that commentary box. It's nice and warm there. Certainly is. And here we are, ready to start the race then. John Ingram, pole position ahead of Jenny Tinmouth, Phil Crow and Kyle Wilkes on the left of your screen on that Bournemouth Kawasaki. The 19-year-old sponsored by Blink Legal. He won a GP1 race actually at the end of last season in Thundersport, but on a stock 600 in some pretty nasty conditions. But here we are at Donington, still pretty cold, and it's a good start by the looks of things from the Ram. John Ingram, will he lead? Jenny Tinmouth is looking to go up the inside, and Kyle Wilkes was somewhere there or thereabouts also. Phil Crow just trying to find a way through into 4th place, but everyone looks to have got round Redgate and Hollywood safely. But it's John Ingram, there just ain't no stopping him at the moment. Jenny Tinmouth in 2nd, Kyle Wilkes in 3rd, Crow 4th, Clark 5th, Waghorn 6th, and then it's Barnes, and that's Danny Murphy in 8th, ahead of the reigning champion Peter Baker under Starkey's Bridge and around McLean's. Here we go, and Phil Crow there, just seeing how things are developing in 4th place as Kyle Wilkes thought about a little sneaky move up the inside of Jenny Tinmouth into McLean's. They tip into Coppice and onto the back straight. No more Dunlop Bridge, of course. Down the back straight they go into the newly named Robert Fennell, or Fennell's chicane. And Kyle Wilkes does make a move by the looks of things for 2nd place. We're looking at 71, Phil Crow. And it is, Kyle Wilkes has moved up into 2nd place, but Jenny Tinmouth Winds on the power down the start-finish straight and will surely try and move back up into second into Redgate, and does so. Good move there from Jenny, so they switch places once more. And they don't want to let Ingram get away, though. I'm hearing murmurs that there's been a massive crash over at Coppice, and yes, the red flags are out. And that's Stephen Carrier that's gone down. Hopefully Stephen okay, but that's a long way to travel into Coppice, that is, to reach that restart time. And there's no Jenny Tinmouth. Jenny Tinmouth, we hear news that she's fallen on the warm-up lap. Oh no, Jenny has fallen. Hopefully she's up and okay, but that's one of the riders that we expected to see battling Ingram at the front. We've now got a 5-lap dash then, and that's not a good start, you know, from John Ingram. Unlike him, and it's a very good start from Carl Wilkes that gets out front ahead of Adrian Clark. It's the Ram trying to fight back, but he's in 3rd place, just ahead of Danny Murphy. Not a good start at all from the Ram. So a little flustered maybe. Phil Crowe just fighting through. Number 19 there, Blake Waltz. Also a decent start for him, a 21-year-old on the Kawasaki, but it is Wilkes that leads from Clark, the Scotsman, and then Ingram in 3rd. Danny Murphy has got himself into a decent position also. Number 1, 2, 3, the 21-year-old from Rochdale. Really good start then from number 32. Carl Wilkes, just turned 19 years of age on the Bournemouth Kawasaki, also sponsored by Blink Legal. He only started racing, fully enough, when he was 16 years old, but it was on a CB 500. He didn't go for the Aprilia Super Teens, unlike his younger brother. But look how far he's come in the space of, what, 2.5 years of racing. And in the background there, John Ingram looking to pounce on the Scotsman, Adrian Clark, number 3, who just improves more and more whenever we see him. He has to come all the way down from Inverness to travel to race at Thundersport. So pretty long journeys for Adrian, but he'll go back with a smile in his face if he can stay in 2nd. But he was almost out of the saddle there. Major moment, and that's allowed John Ingram to close up. Further behind, Crowe has gone ahead of Danny Murphy, who's fighting back on the Superstock machine. But Carl Wilkes, well, this is interesting. Remember, it's only a 5-lap dash, a really quick race. John Ingram now has pushed through to 2nd place, though. And you know what? Despite the fact that Ingram is favourite to win this race, he's got a lot on here to catch and hunt down Carl Wilkes. I'd say that's as good as a 1.5 second lead, 2 seconds maybe, that Carl Wilkes has got there on the Superstock machine. And number 56, the 37-year-old from Wigan, John Ingram, looking to catch Wilkes. Clark thought about a little move again there to move back up into 2nd place, but doesn't manage it, so he stays in 3rd, ahead of Danny Murphy and Phil Crowe. Wilkes it is across the line that still leads. Just a couple of laps remaining in this one. Remember, we started this race and it got red flagged due to an incident involving Stephen Carrier. We can tell you that he's just gone to the medical centre. He is okay, but it looks as though he might have damaged a few ribs there. We'll have to keep you updated at Snetterton the next round. There's number 76, that's Jason Byard. A bit further back, a rider from Kings Lynn. But it's the gap at the front that we want to keep an eye on. And yeah, Ingram is now just pulling him in. He is pulling him in, and the inevitable surely about to happen. Ingram on the faster of the 2 machines. Ingram's been faster lap time-wise all weekend. He's far more experienced than the 19-year-old up ahead of him, but Kyle, you can't take anything away from him. It's a good effort from him. There's Mark Pennington, 29-year-old on the MP Racing Kawasaki, just having a bit of fun further back. And here comes Ingram. He's going to pounce, you know. Carl Wilkes leads, but he's on Superstock machinery, and here comes the GP1. It's the tuned power bike, effectively, of John Ingram. And, well, he's not made it easy, but he does go into the lead through Redgate, and surely that's it now. Oh, he's out of the seat. And Wilkes is also out of the seat. They're both fighting for it. You know, Wilkes isn't going to give this up. The 19-year-old has seen the 37-year-old go through. John Ingram, more experienced, but here comes Carl Wilkes. He is looking for this win. It would be some win from here if he was to be able to take it, but John Ingram looks set to take another victory in the GP1s. His lap time suggests he should be able to pull a gap on Carl Wilkes, but Wilkes is not giving up. And John Ingram can't keep the front wheel down on that Pallet Suzuki. Further back, we see Ian Mackman there, former Superstock champion, going through ahead of Jordan Watling there. number 95, but down into the chicane, and Wilkes makes a move. Great stuff from Kyle Wilkes, the 19-year-old. And as they come onto the start-finish straight, the last lap flag will be shown, and they are side by side. John Ingram has got his work cut out from the young pretender. Number 32, Kyle Wilkes, is having none of it. If you want to win this race, John, you're going to have to work for it, and Ingram really is working for it. They are pushing the machines to the limits down through Craners. Still very cold conditions, but it's Wilkes that leads. Ingram's going to have a look through into Old Hairpin. No, not this time. Doesn't work out. There's only a couple more places that he can do it. Look at the power of that Suzuki as they try and lift up through Schwartz curve. He's looking for a way through, but Kyle is defending his lines really well here on the Bournemouth Kawasaki. Can Ingram find a way past? If he's going to do it, it's got to be on the back straight now. He gets some okay drive onto the back straight. He's got to get tucked up into the slipstream now. Kyle Wilkes holding on. He's not going to do it, you know. I think Kyle Wilkes has got this one. He's just got to make it through the final chicane, and this is an epic win, you know. He's taken a scalp there, checkered flag out, and a win to Kyle Wilkes. A fabulous win at that. John Ingram pulls up alongside, and he's going to come up and congratulate him, you know, and that is the sportsman inside him. The experienced man says, well done, kid. That was a race and a half, and Kyle Wilkes will remember that for some time to come. He wins on Superstock Machinery ahead of Ingram. Danny Murphy takes a solid third, Clark fourth, Phil Crow fifth, and John Waghorn taking sixth spot. And there is Ingram. He wins the GP1 race ahead of Adrian Clark and Phil Crow. And in the Superstocks, it's Wilkes, Danny Murphy, and John Waghorn. Winning the Clubman 1000 Cup there, number 72, Shea Burton. Let's have a look at the points then as we head into Snet. Close stuff. Phil Crow, 2010 champion, has a lead over John Waghorn and John Ingram.
Winner of the Superstock Thousands, Kyle Wilkes. You qualified fourth on the grid, and now you're a winner overall of the race. How do you feel?
Yeah, good. I mean, unfortunately, there's a red flag again at the beginning. It's just so cold, but the shortened 5-lap race benefited me, so I could get out in front, and these guys didn't have time to warm up their slicks, so yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Well done. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, ESC again. Dale's here from ESC supporting us this weekend, Glenside Finance, obviously Bournemouth Kawasaki, and all my family as well.
And winner of the Thundersport GP1s, yet again, John Ingram. You're having a good weekend here, and you've also got the lap record here in your class. You must be pleased with all of this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a good weekend all round. I mean, hats off then to young Carl. He's on a Superstock bike. He rode a terrific race and actually finished, you know, just in front of us. Well, it was a very difficult race, that one, obviously, because someone came off. It was split over the two legs, and everyone's tyres went cold. We did get 2 warm-up laps, but the slick tyres are so difficult to get the heat back in. You know, it takes a good 3, 4, 5 laps in these conditions, but just happy to, you know, bring it home. We're getting the wins. You know, we can't ask any more than that. A good weekend.
Exactly. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank Fred and Dennis Pallet. They've been good all weekend. We've got a few more people come on board this weekend to help us. Morello Services for the TT efforts, Gadget Box for his TTL, and anyone else that's helped us. We've had a great weekend.
Thanks very much, John. Well, that's it from us here at Donington Park. We're off to Norfolk for Snetterton, round 3 of Thundersport Elite. Thanks for joining us.